Truth Speaks. It is provocative. It is thought-provoking. It is bold and embodies the very nature of both the human experience and the human condition. All right, folks, welcome to the Truth Speaks podcast, where truth is shared with real conversations from real people. I am your host, Dee Mosley, and we are here at YD Creative Studios. Joining us today is a phenomenal woman, ReShonda Parker, and she's here to share her truth with us. Thank you for coming and sitting on the sofa today. Thank you for having me. Absolutely. Before we go into conversation, we're going to let the good people know a little bit about who you are, and we're going to do that by reading the bio that you sent to our wonderful producer, and then we're going to jump right in. Is that all right?
That's right.
ReShonda Parker, my good people, is an award-winning, internationally published professional lifestyle model signed with Select Models Atlanta. In 2012, she was a finalist in an 8-week modeling competition judged by supermodel Iman, no less, where she won the Cosmetic Challenge. ReShonda is the proud mother of 3 amazing children, Asia, Noah, and Nicholas, along with 2 guardian angels. She has served as a guest speaker at local schools, and she's still doing that to this day. So she's very actively involved in the community. I love that. In 2012, she began creating one-of-a-kind jewelry and established a small business called Sugar. I love that name, and it was named by her oldest son. In addition to her modeling work, she ventured into music videos, television, and film years ago, and has been fortunate to work on not 1, not 2, not 3. She's worked on 11 major movies and TV series, including NBC's Found and the CW's Gotham Knights. Her film credits include Red One and a role portraying a member of the 1970s group Tony, Orlando, and Dawn in the movie Saturday Night. She also shared a scene with actor Adrian Brody in the film Ghosted. Y'all stay with me now. Listen, you about to find out some stuff. Her journey into background acting began with being booked twice for one of our all-time favorite movies, Black Panther 2, Wakanda, y'all. Wakanda forever. I love it. Although she did not make it on the set for that project, she has been blessed with many, many more opportunities. I love it. She's received a call from Marvel's Blade as a designer pick during filming. In March 2024, ReShonda was booked for a national convention called WPPI in Las Vegas. She also works as a promo model for Push Talent and is in the process of developing a program to help aspiring models. I love that. ReShonda's story began at the age of 13 when she started taking modeling courses, having faced bullying in school and experiencing trauma at the age of 9. She struggled to find her purpose. After a marriage of over 15 years, which lacked support, she chose to prioritize her peace and stepped out on faith. She returned to modeling at the end of 2019 and signed with her agency at the age of 46. ReShonda aims to inspire women of all ages to pursue their dreams and not let their current circumstances dictate their future. She often reflects on the phrase, "It's not your time," reminding herself that God knows best. I love it all. I love it, I love it, I love it. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So let's get started. So you've been through a lot in your life, from bullying, we'll start there, to personal traumas. How did those experiences shape your identity as a model and a mother today? Let's start there. How did that shape you?
Okay. I was bullied in elementary on up until middle school. So I had a really low self-esteem in the very beginning. And
Wow.
my mom, she put me through modeling courses because her intentions were to bring me out of my shyness, but
Right.
it just developed into something much more than she thought and that I thought it would be. And that's when I started modeling. And so it was kind of hard because I was still being bullied at the time. So
Now, how does a beautiful woman like you, I find that hard to believe that you were bullied. Where did that, I can't even wrap my mind around that. How did that all look for you?
well, it was kind of a weird thing where I was not the most popular kid in school, but I still had a lot of friends.
Yeah.
You know, I just was not a part of that in crowd, I guess. And it was a struggle for me because I was always really nice and really sweet. However, there were a few kids at the school that no matter what I did, I just,
And aren't there always that group that
yeah,
no matter how nice you are, or even if you have a group of friends, there's always going to be that group that
right,
finds a reason to. So that was your experience.
right. And it was over things like being dark skinned, being tall, because I was tall, you know, and things like my hair was natural. They just find things, you know, just to make me feel bad about.
Yeah, so it was the whole dark skinned young lady thing
Right,
that was I still don't understand that for us. I don't get how or why we do that.
right. And as a child, I didn't understand it either because
Right.
I was only 13, you know, and once I started modeling, that was like the first time that anybody had ever told me, you know, you're beautiful.
So how did that look for your mom? Because it sounds like she was looking for a way, an answer to what you were going through. It's almost like she, it was just as painful for her as it was for you. So much so that she's like, let me find an outlet for my daughter, for my baby. How did?
Well, to an extent, I had a rough childhood all the way around. It was not just in school; it was at home as well. And you know, that is one of the things that I can say that my mother actually did, you know, for me. But outside of that, I was dealing with other things with her as well. So, you know, I was kind of like in a place where I would go to school and I'd deal with the kids being horrible at school, and then I'd come home and I'd be dealing with things there because, just being truthful, her husband was molesting me, and she didn't know that.
Wow. Let's hold that thought.
Right.
We're gonna take a break and then we're gonna get
Right.
into that conversation. As we go to break, I want to make sure that we know that our headline sponsor is Alfreda and the Voices of Hope for season 1. Thank you so much, Alfreda and the Voices of Hope. With that, we'll be right back. It's too late. It's too late, my Lord. All right, so we're back with ReShonda Parker here on Truth Speaks, and we were just diving into conversation coming off of her amazing resume and bio, but we were getting into some hard truths and some trauma as to what led you to the path of your modeling career and the person, the woman that you are today. And you were just getting ready to talk about what life looked like for you at home and how that led to modeling. So please continue. Let's talk about it.
Right. And it's something that, like I said, I have shared because that is a part of what shaped me into who I am, honestly.
Exactly.
Because it's also, you know, it shaped me into the mom I am too, because dealing with that, it taught me some things about, you know, my own kids, what to look out for in protecting them.
Right. And as moms, we
Right.
we definitely can identify with what we went through, and then
Right.
when we have our kids, we look out for those things.
Right. So, like I said, I was dealing with bullying at school, and then my mother married a man who wasn't a good person. And so I was dealing with things at home as well, of him doing things to me, also my brother, my mom, all of that. And so it was really I kind of didn't really know where to turn. But my grandmother, I thank God for her because she was in my life heavily during that time, and she actually raised me and my brother. And so she was the one person that I can honestly say was really there for me, other than God. Because she taught me, you know, how to pray, you know, how to talk to Him about any and everything. And so that was really what got me through those times, to be honest with you.
You were in your mom's home, but your grandmother was the parental figure that raised you.
Right.
Wow,
Right.
wow. So how do you feel? How do you feel about how your mom chose to handle what was happening in her home? Um, it's almost like she looked for a disconnect for
Right.
you and her, as opposed to really dealing with what was really happening in your home? Because how long did that go on? Did you all even have conversations about it? Did she acknowledge it? Let's talk about it.
Well, I remember going to her one day when he wasn't home and telling her what was going on, and she was in shock. But in the long run, she decided to stay with him, and I ended up moving out at a very young age. And that's when I went to go live with my grandmother. So I kind of finished out school living with her for the most part. So,
So how do
yeah.
you feel about her choosing to stay? And how did that moving in with your grandmother affect what at what point did you start modeling or have that as an outlet?
Well, I did it on and off, not so much during school, but kind of like when I got out of school, rather
Hmm.
like when I graduated high school, then I started really getting into it because during my childhood years, I just kind of more focused on school.
Right, of course, of
Right,
course. Hmm.
right,
And I don't want to leave that, but I don't want your our time together to just be about that.
right,
So let's move a little bit into a little. I just don't want to leave that. So I'm going to ask you this question: bullying and childhood trauma, of course, can leave scars, deep
right,
scars, right? Um, so with that, and I'm going to tie that into your career and what you're doing now. How do you pull from those experiences? How does it help your platform right now today? I think that helps us. That helps us transition. That pulls
right,
us back into
right.
being able to talk through and talk about modeling and what you have going on now. How has that shaped your experience and helped you do what you're doing now? Like be able to go into these schools and talk to
Right.
the kiddos and give them some advice. How did that help?
Well, I feel like I went through a lot of hard things very early, so I understand what it can be like, for other people. So I can relate to, kids that may be bullied now when I go into the schools and I'm talking to them. I can relate more because of my past experiences. And so it gives me the opportunity to just let them know that there is hope, beyond all of that. Because when I was young, I didn't think that life would ever change for me. And as a child,
Mm,
we're not able to see further. We think that our situation is
is
what
right
is right here.
in front of you.
Yeah, and that there's no, getting out of it. And I love talking to kids mainly because
I
I
saw that. I
am
saw that
there.
in
Right,
some things that you did last week. I
right,
think you were enjoying the students and they were wanting autographs
right,
and they were telling you that they wanted you to autograph their arms and stuff like that and
right.
some of the teachers was like, "No, don't do that," or whatever. But
They wanted me to autograph their arm with permanent marker, and
ah,
that's what he was like, "No, she can't do that." And then they were trying to get me to do it anyway.
yeah, yeah. But it
But
sounded
yeah,
like you could absolutely relate
right,
they were comfortable with you.
right,
Yeah,
yeah,
because you've been in a place where you wanted maybe someone to be able to a safe space for yourself.
right. And also, I always feel like, we never know what anyone's going through, especially children,
Exactly.
what they're going home to. And I always just wanted to be like at least one positive person, in their life. If they didn't have anybody else, uplifting and supporting them, I wanted to also
To
be
be
that
that
person.
person, and
Right,
that's who you are. I think from what I can tell, as a mother of three, speaking of children and the kiddos, and a professional model,
right.
how do you balance? How have you found balance in your family life? What has family life looked like for you and your children?
Right.
And in relating to your career and just personally, how do you balance it all?
Well, when my children were young, because they are older now, I really didn't do any modeling, honestly. I may have done like maybe three things. And then I just focused on taking care of my kids, and I had to put myself on the back burner for a while just to get them,
And
you
don't
know,
we
where they
do
needed
that?
to be. Yeah.
Don't we do that as moms? We
Right.
put everything on hold for
Hmm.
them, and then once they're grown and gone,
Right.
we're like, okay, now what? Right?
Right.
I think at least that's where I was. I think when my kids grew and got older, I was like,
Right.
okay, do I go back to this, or what was that kind of where you were? How did everything get kick started for you again?
Well, honestly, like I said, I raised my kids and then I went through a divorce. But my oldest two kids, you know, they're now 21 and 26, but my youngest was my, you know, my baby. But he lives with his father and we co-parent, you know, with him, but I pretty much had to wait until everything was over with to do what I wanted to do because I wasn't supported in my marriage.
Now let's talk about that. And you said that you went through a divorce, and you just said that you were not supported. What do you mean by that? What happened with that? And you said that you all co-parent your youngest, which is he
Hmm.
is 13. Okay, let's talk about how all that looked for you, because I heard you say that you were not supported, and that's ultimately what led to your divorce.
Right. I was just expected to be a stay-at-home mom and wife, basically take care of the family, which I didn't have a problem with, but I do believe that we are able to do that and still go after the things that, you know, we want to do. But in that situation, I couldn't. And so I had to let my modeling go. And so
Mm.
after my separation, I went ahead and I went for everything that I was not able to do, and God blessed me and He opened doors. But it took me having to leave in order for me to do
For
that.
the doors to open.
Right.
We're going to continue that conversation in just a minute. We'll be right back after a word from our sponsors. It's too late. Ooh, it is too late, my Lord. Okay, so we were just talking about, welcome back, you guys. You were just talking about, and you mentioned um, stepping out on faith to leave an unsupportive marriage. So what was the breaking point for you, and how did you find the courage to pursue, um, to leave that situation and find the courage to pursue your dream of modeling?
I just didn't feel like myself anymore. I
When you
felt like when I looked in the mirror, I didn't recognize myself anymore. I felt like I lost myself in my marriage. And it wasn't a feeling that was good for me. And I also didn't want my children to see that because as parents, we need to be role models for our children.
hmm
And one thing that I did learn from all of the things that I went through, because I was so busy, you know, doing for my kids and trying to protect them.
I can relate.
And then later on, after I got out of that situation, my kids told me that they just wanted me to be happy.
Happy. I have
And
heard that so many times from different women um, who left marriages or relationships, that they've stayed, or they felt like they were doing their children a favor, and protecting them by staying and doing whatever they had to do. But then when they decide to leave, their grown kids are like, look, we just want you to be happy.
right.
And and it's almost like the moms are like, well, shoot, I did all of this for y'all, but it almost seems like they know.
Yeah, kids, they're very smart. We don't give them enough credit, honestly. They know things sometimes before we even do.
Right. But I guess they feel like it's only so much that they can say because they're the children in the situation.
Right. And that was pretty much where my oldest two were because they were, you know, young at the time because I was married for 15 years, but we were together for 18. And
Mm.
so my kids were, you know, 5 years old. My daughter was five. My oldest son was a little over a year when we got together. And we were together for 3 years and then we got married. So it wasn't that way the entire time, you
hmm
know. But at the same time, towards the end of it, I just felt like it was time for me to just I had to get away from that.
What would you say to someone, a woman who may find herself in the situation you were in? What would you say to her right now to kind of encourage her, to give her some hope, or to give her something to hold on to?
I would just tell her don't give up. There's so much more to life than the situation that she's in. Um, find at least one person that's your rock, somebody that you can talk to, because a lot of times it's about feeling heard.
I agree. But and also at the same time, though, honestly, it, it's kind of difficult to find that one person, right?
Sometimes it is, but I have a big faith in God, and I
Hmm.
feel like He is that one person. If you can't find anybody down here, you can always, talk to Him.
I agree with you on that too. But again, we're gonna keep it practical also. So what if, we go through our stuff and because a lot of us go to social media because we don't have that one person. I've seen a lot of folks who take all their stuff to social media, and I'm getting to what are your thoughts about therapy for folks who might need it, and I'm not necessarily because I'm gonna remain biased. I'm not unbiased. I'm trying to keep my how I feel about everything, including my relationship with the Lord. That's a whole nother. This is truth speaks. But what would you say for somebody who's looking for help and hope, and they feel like they don't have anywhere to turn, anyone to go to, besides going and praying and having that relationship with the Lord?
Well, as far as like social media goes, a lot of people turn to social media to talk about the things that they're going through, and it can be good and it can be bad.
Right. Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, for the people that are open enough to share things about their lives, there's always somebody out there that has been through something similar.
Right.
And I feel like it's not a bad thing in that situation because you may find somebody that's gone through what you've gone through that can help you through it or at least give you an outlet or
They
somebody
need
to
it.
talk to.
Mm-hmm.
Right. But you don't know that until you open your mouth.
Ooh, that's good. You don't know it until you say something.
Right.
I like that. In news, one of the running themes, or one of the things we used to say or like to say is, if you see it, say it. See something, say something. Because how will somebody know unless you say something?
Right.
Your makeup is gorgeous, by the
Thank
way.
you. I love it.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm trying to lighten it up a little bit, you know. But yeah, yeah, yeah. So how does that look? How does everything that you've gone through in your relationship, how does that look now? How does that look with co-parenting? Let's talk a little bit about that, and then we're gonna continue to lighten it up.
Right. Okay. Well, like I said, I feel like everything that I've been through has made me the person that I am.
Right.
Your life experiences become your testimonies.
Absolutely.
And so I don't regret anything that I've gone through, no matter
That's
how
good.
bad,
That's
you
good.
know.
Hmm.
Because like I said, that's made me into the person I am, the mother I am, I'm now engaged.
Good for you. Woo!
But it
Praise
took
God.
going through all of these different things to get me to this
To
point.
where you are now.
Right.
Yeah. So the journey is always worth it, right? No matter what it looks like.
I feel like it is. I feel like it is.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of people that probably won't, view it that way because they're like, why me? Why,
Oh,
you
yeah.
never know, you know, what that's going to turn into. It may be a very rocky road, but, the end may be something that will be great and you never expected. It's just
Right.
holding on, that's the hard part.
Holding on, that's good. So how do you figure holding on? How do you know when to let go?
I guess well, for me personally, when it's something that feels bad, I guess it continuously just feels horrible. I mean, there's different ways of I guess
Mm-hmm.
looking at letting go.
Right.
And
Right. Making that
typically,
decision and deciding to
right,
let go.
because like if it's people in your life and it's constantly, chaotic and just nothing just ever feels, right, you're not getting anywhere, it's time to let go.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's just things that you can't control, no matter how much you try. And that may be time to let go of those things too. So it just depends on the situation.
I love it. I love it. We are we're almost out of time, but before we go, let's talk about what is in the news right now. What have you been paying attention to, whether it be network news or social media? What has drawn your attention, and what opinions do you have about what's out there in the world today?
Anything?
Absolutely anything. This is your moment. This is Truth Speaks, girl, honey. What is your truth? What are you paying attention to these days?
Well, the thing that's been the most, I guess, is this whole Super Bowl thing with
Listen,
look,
I think that is on everybody's lips still today.
but the thing about it though is, as much as that, and I love him, I really do.
Mhm.
Um,
I do too.
I see a lot of good that's actually coming from that. There's a lot of people of all different cultures now reenacting his
Right.
parts of this halftime show.
I've seen that on social media where
Right.
everybody's like doing their bit of Kendrick's
Right.
halftime
And
show.
it's black,
I
it's
love it.
white, it's Asian, it's everybody. And I think that in a way, I mean, it's brought people together. Now there will be people still that,
Mhm.
don't like it, whatever.
Yeah.
But for the most part, I see it as a good thing.
A good thing. It's
Right.
a win-win, right?
Yeah, I do.
I do too. And there you have it. Thank you so much. Thank you for joining us today on Truth Speaks. And you guys, that has been ReShonda Parker, the beautiful, I say it one more time, beautiful ReShonda Parker, who's been with us on Truth Speaks. Till next time, we'll see you right here on the sofa. It's too late.